Oh, what's the matter, Gloria? You look kind of grouchy.
She is.
Oh, same crowd, same music, same things to eat. I'm bored stiff. If something doesn't happen soon, I'm going to start throwing plates at the waiters.
Well, I thought we were having a swell time.
That's because you've never done anything different. It's driving me mad.
You've done pretty well getting on the front pages with all your stunts.
Is there anything that does interest you at all?
One thing. New people and finding out what they do. Did you ever see an interesting face and wonder what its owner gets out of life?
No, I can't say I have.
It's a fascinating game. See that man over there sitting at the table alone?
You would pick him.
Why, do you know him?
As a lawyer, I know a lot of people.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Nothing. He's a notorious crook, that's all.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. He came to my office some time ago and wanted me to defend him in a case.
Well, I want to meet him.
Are you out of your mind?
So you're going pretty far, aren't you, Gloria?
Go and get him.
All right. Put away your jewelry.
Well, excuse me this time, Gloria. Come on, Henry. We're going.
Good night, Gloria.
Good night.
Hello, Terrence.
Hello, Gregory.
Would the lady over here like to meet you? Do you mind?
Not at all.
Miss Gale. May I present Mr. Terrence?
How do you do?
Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
I've been hearing some interesting things about you, Mr. Terrence.
What could anyone possibly have heard about me that might be interesting?
Bits of gossip, probably. Oh, Arthur, would you mind getting my vanity case? I must have dropped it in the car.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm curious to know what you've heard.
But you're not on very good terms with the police.
Who is? After all, the police are on one side. Some of us are on the other. Either we're right or we're wrong, according to the viewpoint of the person sitting on top of the fence.
Are you a thief?
I'm afraid your question's a bit vague. There are many kinds of thieves. Some steal people's money. Some steal other men's wives.
What do you steal?
Things that interest me. Books, a lady's handkerchief, a smile.
Go on, I've never talked to anyone like you before.
Perhaps you're unduly impressed.
Perhaps. But so was Queen Isabella when she pawned her jewels to help an adventurous seagoing gentleman.
But they were looking for new worlds to conquer.
Yes, and an adventure, too.
Adventure thrills you, doesn't it?
Love it. Tell me more of what you've done.
After all, we've only known each other for a few minutes.
Seems longer than that.
Funny. I feel that way, too.
It's early. Let's go someplace. Someplace where neither of us has ever been before.
What about your friend?
He'll find his way home.
All right. right, lovely lady. I'll take the wheel now. That's that, my dear. Only one bad break all evening. The watchman. And he didn't really get a good look at me.
Won't you come in for a moment, Dan?
Maybe, for a minute.
Are you satisfied with the way I handled things tonight?
Plenty. But you're not kidding me, baby.
Kidding?
That's what I said.
Maybe I'm a detective.
No, I'd have spotted you long ago if you were.
Sit down?
Not tonight. You know, there's a possibility we may have been followed. That's all right. I'm going to take the car and drive it around a bit. If they are tailing us, they'll stay close to me.
But the emerald.
Here's your key.
You're not going to leave it with me.
Remember, that watchman saw my face. Wouldn't be so hot for me if they picked me up. I'll send somebody around in the morning to take it off your hands.
Well, how will I know him?
Don't let that worry you. He'll identify himself.
You're putting an awful lot of confidence in me, aren't you, Dan?
I've never yet been crossed up. And I don't think I'm starting now. So long.
So long.
You've had almost 24 hours and you've gotten nowhere. Now I want some action. Was that watchman able to identify the thief after he looked through the rogue's gallery?
No, sir.
What about the description he gave?
Hasn't helped any so far.
Now all of you get this. That Cortez emerald is worth a fortune. And it's too hot for any fence to take a chance on. That means that the thief will probably lay low and try to sell it back to the insurance company later.
Now, we're covering that angle, Chief.
Stick to it. And while you're about it, keep your eyes on Mike Russo's gang. If one of his men didn't steal the emerald last night, they'll be on its trail today. Now get on the job. You know who's in charge of this case?
Yes. Okay, Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You're Gloria Gale?
Well, yes, Won't you come in?
Thanks.
I rather expected you a little earlier. This afternoon, perhaps.
Did you?
Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Yes, you see, Dan told...
Of course. Unfortunately, I was delayed. Some other things came up that had to be taken care of.
Oh, yes, I understand, Mr.
Smith. I believe that's the customary name to give.
Certainly it is. Oh, will you excuse me while I finish dressing?
Certainly.
I'll only be a minute, Mr. Smith.
Everything okay, Sarge?
Yeah, the inspector's up there with her now, giving her the works.
Well, even money, he gets the emerald or takes the dame out so we can comb the flat.
That didn't take so long, did it?
Not at all. By the way, did Dan say anything further about my call?
Only that you'd identify yourself.
That's Dan all over, always careful.
Well, it's not a bad quality.
No, oftentimes it pays extra dividends, they say.
You're pretty careful, too, Mr. Smith.
It all depends on the circumstances. Sometimes
Now, wait a minute. So far, I know your name is Smith.
And that Dan sent me.
No, I mentioned Dan's name.
Well?
Look, I don't know who you are. I may have mistaken you for someone else. Suppose you do the talking.
My dear Miss Gale, it's much more interesting to listen to you talk.
Never mind the bouquets.
You were saying something about Dan.
Who is Dan?
Well, there could only be one Dan whom we both know. Would it allay your fears any if I told you that he brought you home last night, put your car away, and slipped out through the rear door of the garage?
Then what?
Well, it was suggested then that I call on you.
What for?
Could it be that Dan thought the cops were on his trail last night and left something with you?
It could be.
Something very valuable?
Wait, I'll get it for you. Here.
You know that isn't what Dan wanted me to pick up.
What do you mean?
Apparently you're still dissatisfied with my identification of myself, aren't you?
Am I?
Look here, if we must go on with this idiotic fencing, I can suggest a much more agreeable place to do it.
For instance?
You like to dance?
Yes.
What about the Edgemore? Ted Austin and his orchestra is still playing there.
Oh, I'd love to. I have sort of a date, but it can wait.
Fine. We'll stop by my house, and if you don't mind waiting, I'll change to a dinner coat.
Not at all. I'll get my wrap.
There they come now. Come on.
Austin's certainly been a hit here this season.
I'm mad about his orchestra.
Don't be mad. Let's dance.
Hello, old-timer. How you doing?
Doing all right, Ted.
You know him?
It's my business to know everybody.
Oh, of course. That's stupid of me.
You're looking for someone, sir?
No, I want a table alone.
Certainly, sir. This way, please. This is the best I can do. We're quite crowded tonight.
This is all right.
Cigarette?
Please.
How'd you happen to get mixed up in this racket?
What racket?
Dan's?
Still inquisitive, aren't you?
Inquisitive and interested.
You're Danny Terrence, aren't you?
What about it?
Don't mind if I sit down a minute, do you?
You seem to have decided that for me.
I guess you know who sent me here.
Mike Russo?
Smart boy, aren't you?
Waiter.
Yes, sir.
That lady sitting at the small table on the edge of the dance floor over there. You see the one I mean?
Yes.
Give her this, will you?
Why did you allow yourself to get mixed up with such a crowd?
Thank you.
There was a message on the back of that card?
Yes, from a friend of mine. Wanted to know if he could have a dance a little later.
Of course,
Well, let's not say any more about it, Mr. Smith. Now, tell me, what were you saying?
I was asking you why you allowed yourself to get mixed up with such a crowd.
What about yourself?
That's different. You were looking for romance. This is my business.
I'll admit I haven't had a lot of experience, but judging from you and Dan, I should say that crooks were a lot more interesting than honest men.
And you're convinced I'm a crook?
Aren't you?
If you're satisfied, I am too. Now, let's stop all this foolishness. Let me have the Cortez emerald.
Well, I don't exactly carry it in the palm of my hand. Will you excuse me for a moment, please?
Certainly.
Inspector Trent, please.
Someone just killed Dan Terrence. Morning, Chief.
What's the lowdown, Steve? What happened?
Well, as nearly as I can figure, it was something like this. A man named Dan Terrence stole the Cortez emerald. He gave it to a girl.
An accomplice?
I don't think so.
Who is she? Has she a record?
Not a scratch. I figure she's just a romance-mad kid. Normally honest, but willing to do anything for a thrill. Terrence used her.
Amateurs like that are generally pretty tough nuts to crack, Steve.
I know that. I took her to the Edgemore Hotel last night so the boys could search her flat. But I had no idea it was going to end up the way it did.
You mean the shooting?
Yes. Inspector Trent speaking.
This is Sergeant Brady. I'm talking from a telephone booth across the street from the dame's flat. Yeah, everything's still quiet. I could sure use some sleep, though.
Stick on the job, Brady. If she has any visitors, call me. If she tries to get out, nab her.
Why don't you pick her up and bring her in?
I think we can get further by playing it the other way, Chief. Whoever wiped out Terrence is after the jewel. They probably know the girl has it.
You figure the murderer will try to contact the girl if he thinks it's safe.
That's our only hope. It's a funny thing. I don't believe that girl realizes just exactly what she's fallen into.
Women seldom do, especially when they're looking for adventure.
Gail?
Yes. Well, what's that?
It's a gag I used to get into your apartment. The cops are holding a convention outside.
What's it all about? Who are you?
Well, my name's Stanley, if that'll help. They sent me to get the Cortez Emerald.
Who sent you?
Dan Terrence.
You're the second person who's used his name. How do I know that Dan sent you? Why doesn't Dan come himself instead of sending a messenger boy? I'd give him the emerald and get this thing over with.
You can't expect him to come here with a place surrounded by cops.
Why not? He's taken chances before. You took a chance and got through the police lines. Why can't he?
Sister, there are a lot of things you don't understand about this racket.
You're right. There are a lot of things I don't understand. And now you listen to me and you can tell this to Dan, too. I got into this mess because I was looking for an adventure. Well, now I'm sorry I started it. I'm fed up. I don't like the company I'm in. I'm going to call the police, give myself up, and acknowledge that I made a mistake.
Wait a minute, sister. You don't want to make any breaks you'll regret. If you turn yourself over to the cops and they nail a conviction on you, you know what it'll mean?
Suppose you tell me. You've had more experience than I have.
10 years, that's all. Now, why be a sucker? And all you've got to do is slip the emerald back to Terrence, then scram out of town and forget you ever had anything to do with it.
How'll I get it to him?
All right, if you'll stop gabbing and listen to me, I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Now, you and me are about the same size. I came prepared for this. Now, you take this uniform. I've got my own clothes underneath. Go in there and put it on. Then go outside and get in the truck. The cops will never know the difference. The driver will take you to Terrence. Here. Come on, don't be a sap. Come on, for once in your life, be smart.
All right, I'll do it. But this is the last time I'll ever do anything for you or your kind. Fed up with you and Terrence and all the rest.
Oh, come on and stop your gabbing. Here.
Inspector Trent, please.
Come on, step on it.
Hello? Yes, Brady? What? A florist delivery wagon?
Yeah, that's right. It's been standing there long enough to deliver a whole hothouse full of flowers.
Well, why don't you investigate? Get the number of that truck. It might lead to something. I'm coming right over. Did you get the license number on that truck?
Sir, I did.
Check on that license number and report back to me. Rollins, watch the back of the house.
Okay.
I'm going inside, Brady. Come on with me. Let me have your pass key. Miss Gale. There he is. Get Rollins. I'll go after him.
Okay.
Are you all right, Inspector? Yeah, I'm all right, Sergeant. Search him.
Sit down.
You got nothing on me.
I got enough on you to send you up for life, Tolini. Muscle man for Mike Russo, aren't you? What were you doing here?
I got nothing to say.
Looking for something, weren't you?
I told you I got nothing to say.
What's become of Miss Gale?
How should I know?
She was here when you came, wasn't she?
I don't know.
Then you better start remembering quick.
I ain't falling for any bluff.
Where is she?
I don't know.
Where is she?
I told you I don't know.
How'd you get out of here?
She wasn't here when I came.
You're lying. Answer me.
I did answer you.
Did that florist truck have anything to do with it?
No.
You changed clothes with her, didn't you?
No.
She wore your clothes out of here, didn't she?
I don't know.
Who drove the florist truck?
I don't know.
You'll come clean or I'll spend the rest of my life keeping you in jail. Now, come on, talk. It was one of Russo's men, wasn't it?
I tell you...
It was Winkoski, wasn't it?
Yes. No.
Where'd you take her?
I don't know.
Where'd you take her?
I don't know, Inspector. Honest, I don't know.
You better come clean if you want to save your neck.
Even Russo can't get you out of this.
Where'd they take her?
I don't know. I just let her take my uniform and beat it.
You're still lying. You know where she is.
I don't, honest, I don't.
Where is she?
Come on, this is your last chance.
Talk now or you'll talk to a jury.
I've got enough on you to hang you, Tellini. Now you talk and make it snappy.
All right. I'll talk.
Atta boy.
All right, now let's begin at the beginning. What were you doing here?
We came to get the dame.
Who?
Winkoski and me.
Who sent you?
Mike Russo.
Who stole the Cortez Emerald?
Dan Terrence. He was trying to operate by himself and wouldn't kick in. That's why Russo wanted him wiped out.
Then when Koski pulled that job at the hotel the other night when Miss Gale and I were there together?
Yeah.
Why did Miss Gale leave here?
She didn't know Terrence was dead. I told her Winkoski would take her to him.
Where is she now?
So help me, I don't know, Inspector.
Are you going to start lying all over again?
Lying. I never been to Russo's headquarters. All I know, it's somewhere down on Center Street.
That truck was stolen yesterday afternoon, Inspector.
Give me the license number. Police headquarters. Give me the broadcasting.
Police headquarters.
Inspector Trent speaking. Send out a call to all cars. Pick up the Phoenix Florist Company's delivery truck, license number 7S1038. Arrest the driver and hold the companion. Probably headed toward the Center Street section of the city. Right.
Calling all cars. Attention all cars. Be on the lookout for a stolen delivery truck of the Phoenix Florist Company. License 7S Sugar 1038. 7S Sugar 1038. Arrest driver and whole girl companion. Truck thought to be headed for Center Street section of the city. That is all.
Where's Dan Terrence?
I'm afraid Dan won't be able to meet you. That's why he asked me to take charge of the emerald.
But I won't give it to anyone but Dan.
Unfortunately, like most men in his profession, Dan took chances. He's dead.
Oh, I'm beginning to understand. One of you murdered him.
My dear Miss Gale, murder's an ugly word.
Well, I found out everything I want to know. I'm leaving.
I'm afraid we're going to have to ask you to stay with us for a while.
You wouldn't dare do that.
I'd dare anything. I'm Mike Russo. I run this town.
What about the police?
They do as they're told.
You might think differently if they traced me here.
The police believe they have you safely trapped in your flat. As they didn't see you leave, they'll naturally have no cause to look for you.
Oh, you're very clever, aren't you?
Perhaps, but I'm also getting a little impatient. I want that emerald.
I haven't got it.
Now, don't pull that on me. Give me the stone.
But I told you
Now, listen. If you think you can hold out on me, I'm going to show you that you can't.
I haven't got it.
Where is it?
It's in my apartment.
Mikowski.
Yes, sir.
Take her back. Get in the same way as you did before, and if she's lying, you'll know what to do.
Okay, boss. Come on.
Take her down to headquarters and book it, Rollins.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Brady.
Where to, sir?
Center Street. Hey, look at that.
That's a florist truck, all right.
There's cops following us. take it easy. Cops are right on our tail, boss.
Yeah, I noticed you lost no time in bringing them back here with you, sap.
What else am I going to do? Police cars coming from every direction.
Watch the front of the house. You fellas come with me. Okay. You still enjoying your adventure, Miss Gale?
If I ever get out of this.
Bring it along.
Come on. Come on, get out of here.
We'll use the back stairs through the safe.
I'd rather spend time in jail. I'm not going.
Hurry up, boss. We haven't got much time.
Let me go.
Here.
Get her.
We haven't got a chance. They're coming through that door. Come on, let's beat it.
Is that door a getaway?
Yes. There's a stairway that leads to the outside.
Outside. Cover the entire district.
Yes, sir.
Well, don't you think you've caused just about enough trouble for one girl?
Yes, I do, and I'm glad it's all over. But I hope you believe me when I say that I had very little to do with all this.
Even if you're right, it might be hard to convince a jury of that fact. You're in pretty deep, you know.
Maybe you're right. But at least I've learned a lesson.
I'm sure of that. In the future, if it's adventure you're looking for, remember there's plenty of it on the right side of the law.
Well, there's no question about it, Inspector.
Did they get the emerald?
No, but they almost did. We were on our way back to my apartment when Koski recognized your car.
Then the emerald is still in your apartment?
Was when I left.
It's strange my men didn't find it when they searched the place.
Maybe they didn't look in the right place. If you'll come back with me, I'll turn it over to you.
They must have got away, Inspector. We haven't been able to locate them.
Surround the district. Find Comet. We've got to pick up Russo.
Okay.
Now, suppose we start.
This time it'll be a pleasure. Thanks for letting me get out of that uniform. Wasn't very pleasant.
The dress is an improvement.
Do you really think they'll get Rousseau?
Eventually. He may have a few hours' freedom or a few days, but we'll get him. We always do.
I hope you do. And I do hope you realize how sorry I am that I ever got mixed up into this. If there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know.
Thanks. And now, how about that emerald?
Just a minute. You'll admit this was a good place to hide it.
Excellent.
Why, it's gone.
You sure?
Yes, I put it there last night. I didn't dare take it with me for fear it would get to the wrong person. And now...
I think it's been turned over to the right person.
How do you know? You found it?
Yes. You see, in the police department, we have to be sure of things. I wanted to be certain that you were honest, that you would have turned the emerald over to me. That's why I let you play this little scene.
But...
I found it when I picked up the lighter this afternoon. I'll see that it's turned over to the right parties.
Oh, I'll be glad when they get it. Even though I am prosecuted for my part.
Suppose you let me worry about that.
Oh, you said... Russo!
A gallant promise, Inspector. One at the police department ought to be happy to grant after her willingness to turn the emerald over to them. I'll trouble you for that emerald, Inspector.
What makes you think I'd hand it over to you, Russo?
Well, it would be the intelligent thing to do when you're supposed to be smart.
Wise enough not to be frightened, Russo.
Got a lot of nerve, Trent. I must admit it commands my admiration.
If you use that gun, you won't leave here alive. There are 2 officers sitting in my car down at the curb.
I managed pretty well this afternoon. There was a carload of them out there.
That fire escape won't prove as easy a means of getaway as your trick door.
Suppose you let me worry about my getaway. Now, hand over that stone.
I wouldn't think of handing it over to you, Rousseau.
All right. You asked for it.
You won't pull that trigger.
Hello, Al.
I suppose you know you're taking a chance in coming here.
Sometimes that's necessary, regardless of the danger involved.
Well, as long as you're here, I want to get something off my chest.
Go ahead.
The past 5 years, we've made money together. Worked pretty successfully, that right?
I'm still listening.
We took a lot of crooks for a cleaning, and we made a few businessmen pay for protection. All of which was legitimate enough in its way.
So what are you driving at?
I'll tell you. You've overstepped yourself. You and Winkowski have become murderers.
Listen, Beckett. The less talking of that kind you do, the better off you'll be.
I'm not the least bit frightened by your muscle man. And I'm not particularly interested in the murders you've committed. That's your funeral.
You know, I'm getting interested. Say, what's worrying you?
I'll take my chances with a racket. But I don't like murder. You can't buy yourself out of a rap like that, and I don't want any part of it.
With enough money, you can buy yourself out of anything.
Yeah, maybe you'll find out that you're wrong for once.
Now, you listen to me.
Go ahead.
Did you ever hear of the Cortez Emerald?
Of course. Some mug lifted it 10 days ago.
The mug's name was Dan Terrence. Do you know him?
Sure, he used to work for you.
Right. He used to. He's dead now. Did you know that, too?
Yes,
All right, let's talk business. It's a much pleasanter subject than death.
Well, what's on your mind, Russo?
We were discussing the Cortez Emerald. What do you think it's worth?
Oh, I don't know. $500,000?
Would you like to see it?
Oh, as you know, I've heard that...
You've heard what?
That emeralds are unlucky.
Yeah, I know. Now, don't be a sap. All we've got to do is worry about how to get rid of it.
Yeah, how? There isn't a collector in the world that wouldn't recognize it.
Did it ever occur to you that the owner of that emerald had it insured?
Of course.
And that the insurance company'd have to pay for it if it was lost?
You mean they pay us for its return?
Exactly. Otherwise, they'll never see it again.
I'm beginning to understand.
I thought you would. Now, get this. I want you to go to the company that's insuring that emerald. You're representing someone who found the stone, you understand? Talk to them. Get a line on how much the emerald is insured for. And whatever it is, our price is 50% and no questions asked.
All right. I'll get busy at once.
Right. Oh.
Mr. Beckett's here about the Cortez Emerald.
Oh, have him come in.
Very well. Mr. Beckett.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes. Sit down.
Thanks. As I told you over the telephone, I have some information regarding the Cortez Emerald.
Oh, just a minute, Mr. Beckett. Why did you come to me with this information? I think the police would have been the proper people for you to consult.
I don't think so. In fact, I imagine you wouldn't want me to consult them at all.
Why not?
Perhaps I better explain.
All right. Go ahead.
A client has asked me to come here because it's known that your company carries insurance on the lost emerald.
A great many people know that, Mr. Beckett. What we're interested in is getting it back.
Exactly. And that's why I'm here. You see, this client believes that he knows the whereabouts of the property in question. And he'll get the emerald back for you, provided, of course, he gets some measure of protection.
I don't quite follow you. Just what kind of protection does he want?
There's only one kind of protection that's certain. And that, Mr. Thornton, is the ability to leave town. Sometimes it's wise to go a step farther and live abroad for a few years. All that, of course, costs money.
In other words, you want us to pay for the return of the lost emerald.
That's right.
How much?
Well, it's rumored that the stone is insured for $500,000.
And like most rumors, it's been stretched. We carry $400,000 on the Cortez Emerald.
All right. Suppose my client would be willing to accept half that amount.
$200,000. What would you say if I were to pick up this phone and call the police?
You're overlooking something. I'm acting for a client who...
demands $200,000 illegally.
No, you're wrong. He merely suggests a method whereby your company can save 50% of the money they would have to pay.
And if we refuse?
In that case, I imagine the Cortez Emerald might be, shall we say, accidentally lost for good.
How long have we to think this over?
A week should be sufficient.
All right. I'll let you know, Mr. Beckett.
I think you have my telephone number, Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Good day.
Good day. So you can see our position, Chief.
I understand fully, Mr. Thornton.
As it now stands, we have less than a week to make a settlement with the owner of the emerald. If it isn't turned up in that time, the full amount of the insurance, $400,000, must be paid.
In other words, it'll be a plain saving to your company of $200,000 to pay the party now holding the emerald.
Exactly.
Do you mind telling me who brought this information to you?
Only on condition that you promise to keep your men away from him.
We haven't any desire to embarrass you, Mr. Thornton, particularly as you've come to us of your own accord.
We were approached by a broker named Beckett.
Mike Risso's mouthpiece.
So I understand. And we insist that you act immediately so that it will not necessitate our dealing with Beckett.
You say you have a week's time left before you have to make a settlement with the owners?
7 days from today, the insurance must be paid or the emerald returned.
Then I'm going to suggest one final way of handling this.
I'm willing to listen to anything, Chief, as long as it doesn't jeopardize our chances of dealing with Beckett.
It won't jeopardize anything. It should solve the whole case and get you back your emerald at the same time.
What's the plan?
Go ahead with your negotiations, but don't appear too anxious. Insist upon one thing, that Russo personally turn the emerald over to your representative.
Supposing he refuses?
If you handle it cleverly, he won't. Right now, Russo's in no position to dictate. He needs money for a getaway.
You don't think he'll suspect a trap?
Not if you follow instructions.
What are they?
Ever hear of a roadhouse called the Willows?
No, I don't think I ever have.
I'm not surprised. It's halfway up in the mountains on a back road. We have reason to believe that Russo and his outfit have a hideout there in that neighborhood. If we're correct, they'll be willing enough to meet a representative of yours out there.
Just one thing wrong about that, Chief. This representative would naturally have to go alone.
Yeah.
Well, that isn't a job that I'd care to take personally.
You're right, Mr. Thornton. And that's where the police department will take a hand.
What do you mean?
We'll supply the representative.
Well, good morning. Feeling a little more friendly?
How long is this going to keep up, Russo?
I have the best reasons to believe it'll only last a short time longer.
What are you going to do with me?
Ah, that very interesting question is yet to be decided on.
Hey, Chief, there's somebody coming up the road.
Miss Beckett, you didn't lose any time. Oh, I beg your pardon, my dear. There's a friend of mine coming up, and I'm sure we can speak more freely if you're in the other room. Suppose you see that she doesn't forget her manners, Winkowski.
What do you mean?
Eavesdropping is definitely frowned upon by the best society. Hello, Beckett. Glad to see you.
That certainly is a long, tough trip.
Well, you made it pretty fast. Sit down. Make yourself comfortable. Well?
You were right. It worked.
The company's willing to pay?
Apparently they're anxious to. I made all arrangements to hold the meeting tonight.
You agreed on a spot?
Yeah, right here.
Here? Are you crazy?
Well, not exactly here in the house.
Now, don't tell me riddles where.
Wait a minute and I'll tell you. You know that little inn at the Willows?
Yeah.
Just a few miles down
Yes,
the road?
yes.
I arranged for you to meet their representative there at 9 o'clock tonight.
You arranged for me to meet him?
Yeah, why not? Everybody knew who I was dealing with. They insisted that the man that's got the emerald turn it over to them and receive the money.
How do we know they're not going to bring the whole police department with them?
I covered that, too. The insurance company's sending one man. I'll meet him myself and wait for you in the inn.
I still don't understand why you picked a spot where there'll be at least 50 people sitting around.
That's just why I did pick it.
I don't follow you.
Well, just suppose something went wrong. The easiest place to make a getaway is in a crowd.
I don't like it. Sounds like a trap.
Coming from you, Russo, this is certainly a surprise.
What do you mean?
You're always talking about your nerve, and now you're afraid of one man.
All right, you say that fella's bringing the money?
If he don't, he won't get the emerald.
You bet he won't. He'll get something else. All right. I'll take the chance.
Yeah, he's waiting in one of these booths. Come on. This is Mr. Allen, Mr. Russo, the gentleman I've been speaking of. Hello, Russo.
Trent. What are you pulling?
I don't get this. I was supposed to meet a man named Allen.
All your friends are here. You needn't be nervous, Russo.
Very clever, Inspector. And now that you've pulled your gag, I suppose you know what you're doing by coming here. How do you expect to get out of it? Keep your eye on him. The first false move he makes, drill him.
Have you gentlemen ordered?
Beer.
Yeah.
Right away, sir.
You know, Inspector, I can't help admiring your nerve.
As I told you before, Russo, it doesn't require nerve to deal with your kind. Although I'll admit you surprised me when you pulled that trigger and put me out of commission for a while. But your aim was bad that day, Russo.
Yes, I know it. A hurried job is always liable to be bungled. Next time I'll be more careful.
Here you are, gentlemen. 60 cents, please.
Allow me, Russo.
No. The pleasure's all mine. You see, Inspector, you might never get another chance to drink with me. Here, keep the change.
Thank you, sir.
Now let's get down to cases. What are you doing here?
I don't mind telling you, I want the emerald.
Hey, you don't think I was fool enough to bring it, do you?
I know it. You expected to collect $200,000 when you turned it over. Do you want to give it to me here, or do you prefer to be searched at headquarters?
You know, for a man in your position, you certainly retain your sense of humor.
Never mind that, Russo. What are you going to do?
I'm leaving now.
I think you'd better stay right where you are.
Is there something else, gentlemen?
Yes, these gentlemen are thinking of leaving.
Come on.
If you don't mind, we'd prefer to have you stay.
I forgot to introduce you to my friends, Lieutenant Anderson and Sergeant Smith. Get their guns, boys. And I'll trouble you for the emerald, Russo. I'll take care of this.
Well, you're not through with us yet, Trent.
You're quite right, Russo. I'm not through with you yet. We haven't found Gloria Gale, but my men are probably there by now. And now, if you don't mind, we will leave.
Come on, boy.
I don't know when I've so thoroughly enjoyed an evening. I suppose you know my men couldn't find Gloria Gale. Now, where is she, Russo?
You were pretty smart last night. Suppose you tell me where she is.
Stalling isn't going to get you anywhere. Don't you think you better start talking?
All right, I will. Maybe I'll give you something to think about.
All right, I'm listening.
I fell for your little trap last night because you caught me unawares. When I wasn't entirely asleep. You see, in my record, there's always a chance for a double cross. So it occurred to me that I might keep a little protection. Before I met you last night, I turned the Gale girl over to Winkowski and another fella. I started them out for, shall we say, an unnamed destination. Well, that's where they are now, waiting.
For what?
For word from me. If I don't join them late this afternoon, it's the old story. A life for a life.
You mean you're holding the girl as the price of your release?
My dear Chief, you amaze me with your powers of deduction.
Now, you listen to me, Russo. For 3 years, I've been trying to nail you to the wall. You've been a menace to this town. But you're through. I got enough on you to send you to the chair. Now, don't you think you better make one last decent gesture and save this girl's life?
What, at the expense of my own? Don't be funny. I won't lift a finger unless I walk out of here a free man, and 5 o'clock's the deadline.
All right, Chief, you gave me permission to handle this case in my own way.
That's right.
Regardless of the fact that there might be consequences.
Regardless of anything.
Right. We've got exactly 2 hours to make one of these men talk.
Now, don't pull that. You're losing your sense of humor now.
Before 5 o'clock, you or Beckett or Tony is going to tell me where Gloria Gale is, and I'm going to start with you, Russo.
Yeah, and how do you figure on doing it?
You'll find out quick enough.
You're bluffing, Trent, and it won't work. Either I'm out of here by 5 o'clock or the Gale girl turns up missing. Permanently.
One of the 3 of you is going to talk.
Go ahead. See how far you get.
That's just what I'm going to do, and if you don't talk, I've got 2 other subjects to work on.
Yeah, but you can't get away with it.
Watch me. Chief, will you send in the 3rd degree squad?
Send up Anderson, Smith, Rollins, and Brady. Ready to work.
You have no legal right to do this. I'll get a restraining order from the court. First, you have to appear in court. How are you going to do that?
He wants this one first.
So this is your torture chamber, eh?
Yes, and it's a very convenient room, too.
Still trying to be funny, aren't you?
All right, Smith, turn on the spotlights.
What are they going to do?
Watch the door, you'll find out.
But it's illegal. It's criminal.
Talk, and you'll have a chance to prove that.
I swear I don't know anything. They didn't tell me where they took her.
Let's watch the door. The show's going on.
If you don't put for yourself, you'll come through. You know what happens if people won't tell me the truth. Oh. jail for the rest of your life. Oh. Oh. Oh! Ow! I can't stand it! Get me out of here!
He passed out like a light. What do you want me to do now?
Move him into another room and go to work on Beckett for a while.
I tell you, I don't know anything. I swear it.
Wait a minute. You want to save your life, don't you, Beckett?
Yeah, I tell you if I knew.
I believe you're telling the truth. All right, if you don't know, who does?
He knows. He was there when they took her away.
There's your man, boys.
Come on, you.
No, don't take me in there. I'll tell you where she is. Where is she? 8410 Canyon Drive, that's where she is.
Send my car out in front, quick.
Well, Oscar, you did your work well, but I gotta have my coat.
All right, boys, the trick worked. Now lock them all up. Come on, get out of here.
Who is it? Everything set?
Yep. We're ready to pull out as soon as we get word. You gotta wait till 5 o'clock. About 20 minutes yet.
What are you going to do?
Never mind, sister. Just sit down there. Come here, sit down. Two minutes more and we'll be on our way. It's 5 o'clock. Let's get going. Give me that key. Come on, you.
The cops.
Get over in that corner. Get out of sight.
All right, get ready to give it to him.
Drop that gun.
What's the dope, Inspector?
Yeah, what happened?
Give us a story.
Just a minute, boys. One question at a time.
Well, give us a statement, will you, Inspector?
Well, the Russo gang is behind bars at last.
Yeah, but what happened? Did you get the emerald?
The Cortez Emerald was returned to its rightful owners, who wish to join me in thanking you gentlemen of the press for printing that fake story about my death. It had a lot to do with the results we accomplished.
Well, how about Miss Gale here? Is she going back to her society crowd or look for more adventure?
I'll let her answer that for herself.
If I never see any excitement again, it'll be too soon.
Hold it.